Hey all! In our previous lesson, we created the base file of the theme, the index.php file. But I told you that creating a theme in WordPress is not the same as creating a pure HTML website, not even a website using only PHP. WordPress needs to deal with dynamic content, and so it can't be dependent on just the base file, this index.php file here. In theory, as already mentioned in previous lessons, we can really create a WordPress theme using only a style.css and the index.php file. But in real world, that's a bit different. If we only have this index.php in our theme, all pages will look like the same. And that's not what we want, right? Well, before we begin splitting our file, I want to start by showing you a little bit of how WordPress can be highly dynamic. We're going to be changing some things over here in the HTML tag and in the head element too. The first thing we're going to change here is the language attribute property. In WordPress, this simply don't exist because the language is set in the admin area and can be different in every WordPress installation. So it can't be hard-coded like this. So here we go. Let's begin by calling a function here named language_attributes. Now, if we look at the source code for the page, you realize that the language has changed to US English. And if you access the admin, settings menu, general, change the site's language, you see that the language also changes in the source code. Cool. Let's go back to English. So, why is this so important? Well, basically because WordPress themes can be sold or redistributed to people anywhere in the world. So this language attribute has to be dynamic, not hard-coded, right? So I believe you get the point. Another area that must become dynamic is the site's character settings. Let's change this over to another WordPress function. Let's do a blog info here. This feature called blog info is very useful and allows us to do a lot of different things in WordPress. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna leave a link for you in the extra materials. There you can find out more about the blog info function. Some functions in WordPress have parameters. That's the case of blog info. Let's pass the char set parameter inside the parentheses. And now when we save, nothing will really change in the source code for now. Actually, I don't know if it ever changes at some point. But since that's a WordPress coding standard, let's follow it. More important than that is the next one, the title tag. To solve this problem is very easy. Just delete the title tag and you're done. Go ahead, delete that. You must be thinking I'm crazy, right? You should be remembering that the title tag is one of the most important in a website. Without this tag, a website will never rank well on search engines such as Google. Okay, I can explain, but not now. Later in the course, you'll see how to bring the title tag back to the site. Just so you know, WordPress no longer requires you to add this tag directly to the site header. So for the time being, just delete the title tag and we're good to go. There are two more tags that I'm gonna be copying from one of the native WordPress themes. For example, let's open up this 2019 theme once again. And from its header.php file, we're gonna copy this meta tag here. It is essential for our sites to become responsive. And then this next line here, which is setting a kind of information called microformats. To be honest with you, I don't know how microformats work. Get used to that, guys. I don't know about everything. Well, that's it for now. Let's go back to the main subject of this lesson. I'll start by selecting the region that will become the head of the theme. In the case of my theme, this selection will have to go from the beginning of the HTML to the end of the header tag. But in practice, this can vary from theme to theme, right? This whole area will repeat itself on every page. So let's cut out this selection, save the file, and create a new one. And the name of this new file is gonna be header.php. Marcelo, does the name of this file have to be header.php? Yes, it must be header.php, and later you understand why. This will repeat itself on the top region throughout the theme, right? And now the next selection will span from this footer tag to the end of the file. Let's cut everything once again, and let's create another file called footer.php. Again, does it have to be footer.php? Yes, it must be footer.php. What's left over here will become later the dynamic region of the theme. If you access the site now, you see that parts of the theme are missing. Those parts are in fact the parts that are now inside the two files we just created. So that the theme become complete again, we have to call two specific WordPress functions. Anyone who has worked with PHP knows that we can call parts of a PHP file using the include, require, or required once commands. WordPress has some functions very similar to those of PHP. In the case that we're gonna see in this lesson, and in some other more special cases, WordPress can simply call parts of template files by their own names. So there are very specific WordPress functions that can call the header.php and the footer.php files. So our index.php will call the header file exactly at this point, from here up, and the footer from this point on. Then we can call them over here and over here, the two places from where we took those code snippets before. But how do we do it? By using two basic WordPress functions that are get_header. This function is going to require the file called header.php, and now you understand why the file must be called header.php. And the other function down here, you can even imagine its name, right? get_footer. Let's see if that works. Let's reload the home page. And there you have it. Now our theme is once again complete. Do you remember that body class function? Let's see if it's finally working. Let's go ahead and inspect the page. And look at this. Class, home, and blog. So the home page of our theme has these two classes, and they are here thanks to the body class function. Want to see how this feature can be useful? We could use CSS and create a specific rule for all of the H1s or H2 heading tags of the home page. They would be different from other heading tags that are on the inner pages. For example, H2 tags from the home page can use a different font style with a different color, etc. You get the point. This function fires on all pages and can help you style the whole theme. We're gonna see more on that as we move along the course. Now, just to finish out, when you open the files of the native WordPress theme, did you notice that there are several comment lines at the top of the file? Let's go back to one of them. For example, let's open up the index.php file of the 2019 theme. What you're seeing here is a kind of documentation. They are here to help other developers know what this file is for, what it does, or how to work with it. If you want to redistribute your theme anywhere, this is an essential part of your job. It's among the many requirements for your theme to be approved, for example, in WordPress.org. We'll have this kind of documentation in almost every file of our theme. So every time I create a new file, you see that I'll be also creating this comment area. However, as I don't want to waste too much time on this, I'm gonna just copy one of these, for example, this one here, and I'm gonna paste it on the top of the file I'm creating. The rest is very easy. In most cases, I'll just need this part of the comment that explains what the file is. It will usually be the same thing if I copy it from the same kind of file. And I need also this tag here, package. I'm gonna be writing the name of our theme here, Fancy Lab. So I'll start with the index.php file. Let's leave the getHeader function call here. It's easier that way. Remove that. And now I'm gonna do the same thing for header.php and for footer.php. Another useful feature are plain PHP comments. So our file may also have comments. Every time I want to explain some code, I can use PHP style comments. It could be a one-line comment like this one over here, or a multi-line comment like this. Generally, I'm not going to stop the lesson to dig into this, right? There are only comments, nothing more. If you want to know a little more about how this entire documentation feature works within the files, I'll leave a link with more detailed explanations. Alright, that's it guys. If you want to have a WordPress theme that is really dynamic, that is the way to go. In the next lesson, we'll see how to include style sheets, CSS files, the right way within WordPress. So, talk to you later. Until then, happy coding!